Wow, he was so impressed with all of you, your enthusiasm, your dedication to the history, and I thought he did a great job. Oh, well, my loud wife says I'm too loud. Chris, can you turn me down a little bit? Or somebody can turn me down a little bit. Somebody know? Right there you go. First time my wife has ever called me loud. So, I forget where I was. Dan Ariens did a great job of wandering around, and we really appreciated him being here. But more importantly, he left instructions with his staff to be here, and they have been here in force. Dan's staff, Ariens, can you please rise? Thank you guys very, very much for joining us. You really made it a great event. And I have to special recommendations for Ben Gravely, who came yesterday and today. He did a great job. So Mel said, hey, I did so much work for you guys. Will you let me please do a short presentation? So I'm going to turn over the mic to Mel. And Mel, it's hard. Here, hang on.
Two mics? Oh, 2 mics. Where me out? Banquet Club deserves a lot of credit for putting this on. I am just amazed at the passion that goes on. I really didn't feel that until I come to this, and wow, there is just passion for Gravely. So I think a lot of that goes to the leaders of the Tractor Club, and they kept this going and keeps growing and growing and growing. I've seen a lot of other clubs and organizations that after a little while they kind of dissolve and go away. But there's certainly a lot of credit to this club. And you just keep it going, and the interest and how far you come to one of these is amazing to me. So I think we should give a round of applause to the people that run the Tractor Club. To be here and really appreciate it, the passion that you all have, and he wants to send his regards to you all. What I am all about is we are starting a museum at Ariens Company. We've actually had a museum at Ariens for about 12 years, and it was kind of more just Ariens. And we have expanded the museum, and now half of it will be Gravely. So it's a work in progress, but I do have a few slides that I'd like to show, and I'm not blowing smoke here. We are actually doing this. So the first slide is that honor for Ben Gravely, and if you've seen this picture, we actually have him in the corner here as well. Copy of Ben, and that was a famous picture, so it's a good portrait of Ben. I understand through the real family that I'm a little bit shorter than Ben. He was, I don't know, 6 something, I believe, for the references I received today. And this is a picture of the factory in Dunbar. And just remember what that looks like. As you see the sign on top says Gravely Motor Plow Cultivator Company. And we have a couple of slides here that shows how the plant was back in the early 30s. You can imagine, see the belts coming down off of a drive shaft. Imagine those working conditions. And then as you move forward, you still have that. And notice the crowded working conditions. So there were a lot of people working very hardly in the factory. So some of that stuff we will, display in our museum. And then of course, this is a famous picture too, the Gravely versus the horse and plow. What does it really mean? It's power versus drudgery. that Gravely used for years. If you look at their brochures, power versus drudgery. And I think Dan's going to be using that in his presentation in Florida. Excuse me. And this is another picture of Ben with his two-wheel tractor. And as I was saying before, this is just kind of a weird thing. We started the Ariens Museum like 12 years ago, and it was more of an office complex, drop ceiling type thing. It was not a real museum atmosphere. So this past 9 months or so, we decided to take the drop ceiling out. Then you'll see all the way the plant is built. It painted the plant. That's kind of the new look that you see in the modern buildings today. And so that is started. That gets our museum ready. The museum committee, we are all retired people from Ariens, and we volunteer our time. We do not receive any compensation, and just because we love doing this, show up every Thursday morning, we plug the coffee pot in, sit down and have a treat, a donut or something like that, and then some days, well, let's just go home. But we do get a certain amount of things done. The museum is located in the Ariens company. This is the oldest plant, and we're jumping ahead here a little bit, but it's the Ariens original manufacturing plant. And that's where the museum is now located. We cleared it out and have put the museum there. So now the next slide will show, remember that sign on the Dunbar, West Virginia plant? As you come in from the Ariens portion of the museum to the Gravely portion, you will see this sign. And the brick building, the windows, and so on. We have a little note there, the Ariens bought them in '82. And if you kind of look through the doorway, remember there's two pictures we saw about how the plant conditions were? You'll see that as you walk into the museum. We're trying to create how it was many years ago. And you'll see the lighting is track lighting, and we'll be able to highlight things and so on. So, and then here's another view from the other side of that. This is a 1,300 square foot addition we just put on just for Gravely. And that's going to be just our single wheel, two-wheel portion of the museum. And then there's the next one. We'll have these patented Gravely two-wheel, or single-wheel I should say, in the museum. And you'll see we have work to do because there's nothing on the walls at this time to tell the story, but that we will get done. And so that'll be part of the museum. And then we have, this is another part of the museum where we show the clean cut, the Westchester. We look way over to the right side, we have the GMT 9000. And so we've got to work there too. You see the walls are still kind of bare at this point in time. But it'll eventually be a great museum to come and see. And we invite you all to come. I'm going to put on a little slideshow that'll quickly go through a bunch of slides of the museum as soon as Bob can get us going there. And that'll kind of show a few more pictures of the museum. And like I say, it takes time to create this stuff, gather data. And that's one thing I enjoy about coming to this moment is you hear so much stuff. So this is the start of the Ariens side of it. We jumped to the Gravely, ready? Not your fault, okay. You can see stuff is starting to appear, but the walls are a little bit
408 with a snowblower
at this point in time. So it'll just kind of flick through, just to give kind of whet your appetite about there is a museum being created for Gravely. It's at Ariens Company. It'll be half Ariens, half Gravely. So if you find time in your busy life, please come and see us. And we're not open except by appointment. So we need to know if you're coming, and then we would give you a tour. So that's basically my message today is we are doing a museum, and you're invited to come and see us. And we will be putting something on our website that you can register, call us, leave us a message, and we'll get back to you if we're not in.
Neat.
So, I know Wisconsin gets a little cold in the winter, but it does warm up in the summer. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, the table.